the Gabba, and, well, I think Joe Danaher would like those last few seconds back. Dermot Brereton, Tony Armstrong, slightly unlucky.
What a brilliant mark, and what a brain fade.
I wouldn't want to be seeing Chris Fagan in the rooms after this.
That is extraordinary. We're on late enough, I can say. That's a smart ass. Just kick the goal.
15 out, right in front.
You've taken a towering mark, kicked the goal back over the bloke's head you've just taken a specky on, and look him in the eye and say, that was pretty good, wasn't it?
Oh, he's getting around his teammates now. This game, though, it's gone up a level, hasn't it? Because there were a fair few skill errors. Both teams really struggling to convert forward 50 entries. But it's a 4-point ball game.
Well, they owned that quarter, Port Adelaide. I thought the match was really scratchy in the first quarter.
They're trying to
Port
come
Adelaide,
inside, not on.
Everybody tried to come inside, both teams, and couldn't hit the target. Port Adelaide capitalised better in that quarter. 4 goals to 2. That would have made it 4-3. Now, there's tennis terms, there's a mini break still.
I just wanted to ask you as well, with the key forwards, we haven't really seen too much from them. Need them to hit up, attract the ball? Yeah.
Well, that one there, Joe was just floating in the area and it went up, and it was an awesome mark. He just dumped his opponent and then launched over the two-man pack. That was fantastic. Hasn't been really good from Joe, hitting up at the footy, and that way the man has to play close to him. If you going out the back all the time, they can grapple you and stop you jumping like that. So he's got to get a bit smarter. I noticed too that it was Port Adelaide, when they started to get their polished players with the hands on the footy in the forward half, they banged on 4.
Yeah. Well, it was pretty hard watch in the first quarter, wasn't it? Just 3 goals kicked. But one of the good stories was Darcy Fort. Only managed 8 games across 3 seasons, rather, with Geelong. Moves to the club he grew up supporting and kicks 2 on his Lions debut tonight so far.
He was good, wasn't he? I mean, that was a good mark. He knew where the ball was going. He drew the ball by leading out to the side, chest mark.
And that's what we were talking about, getting out, getting in front, leading with purpose, drawing the ball to you, and all they want from him is a contest. Yeah. That's all they want from him tonight, and he's giving them that.
I'll tell you what, though, the golden rule for something like that is force your teammates to kick to you by getting in the right spot. And Darcy Fort did it a couple of times.
So what do you think Ken Hinkley's saying right now at half-time as we take a look at the Port Adelaide goals? Because there were a lot more positive signs for Port in that second quarter, kicking the 4 goals.
This is the boat goal here, and McCluggage had him at the stoppage, Tone, and let him go. Said somebody else's.
Bit of ball watching. Sometimes you can lose your opponent. You can't afford to lose a goal like Travis Boak.
And it was a scrubby game of footy until the class players stepped up. Houston bangs this one on here, and they go forward again. Marshall led to the drop of the ball, Tone.
That's what we've been talking about. Up and at it. Big rise, big jump. And if he drops that, his commas know exactly where to go. That's going to come right down in front. It's perfect stuff.
Only had the one, I think, maybe 2 possessions, but that's a really good moment for the young man. That's something you can set your team up around. As Tony says, if he doesn't grab it, goes to the grass, and his teammates are in there.
Yeah.
Holding the ball. We love this topic. Cue Derm's rant. But there has been a bit of inconsistency tonight.
He's got hands free there. He's walked him around twice, Tone.
Well, I'm pretty sure we were told that would be adjudicated as holding the ball.
And then in the same game,
we've seen a hot potato one. So I think all you want as a player, is to know what the standard's going to be. So whatever they're going to adjudicate to, just consistency.
We say it every
year. We say it every year. It's tough to adjudicate.
Let's head to the ground because Alistair Lynch is at the Gabba. Lynchy, what's impressed you this first half?
I think the way the Port Adelaide midfield have gone about it, they've put enormous pressure on. And we heard from Ken Hinkley pre-game, he said if they're going to challenge the Brisbane Lions, they've got to match them in the midfield in that contested ball. And they're +6 for contested possessions. And to be fair, the Lions narrowed that gap late in that quarter. And I just think the pressure they've been able to put on the Brisbane Lions, causing turnovers, it's been a very scrappy game, obviously, as you've seen. And the conditions, as we spoke about pre-game, as it was 25 degrees, it's now 23, so it's very slippery. It's not it's not dewy as such, but it's slippery. More the perspiration coming down the arms of the players is causing some issues. And I think the Brisbane Lions, and as I said pre-game, I tend to agree with Dermot on most occasions. And if the Brisbane Lions keep playing with this, they're not going to be flag favourites, that's for sure. But they've got to clean their game up. And we've seen examples where they've missed targets easily in the middle of the ground, and they just look rusty. They look like they've almost changed from what we saw against the Western Bulldogs a couple of weeks ago, and they've gone back into their shell and a bit more conservative.
What have you made of Dane Zorko, the captain at halfback?
I reckon for his first game at halfback, it's probably been the mixed bag that we're going to expect from Dane Zorko. I mean, he's had a bit of the ball, he's had 4 score involvements, and obviously the pass into Danaher where he kicked the goal in that second term. But he's also turned the ball over, which is very unlike him. But I think what he adds to the back 6 is something the Brisbane Lions need. They need a bit of speed, need someone with the confidence to take off into the middle of the ground. But you've got to understand that at times he's going to be isolated one-on-one, and as happened, he's going to be marked again. So I think a reasonably good start, but he'd be disappointed in his couple of turnovers. Great
stuff, Lynchy. We'll cross to you post-game. Let's head into the newsroom now. Kath Durkin. Kath, the players have been dropping like flies at the Gabba.
Yeah, a bit of carnage indeed. Issues for Port almost within the first minute. Robbie Gray going down with a knee concern. He was taken from the field and spent a large time of that first quarter on the bench being assessed and then put through some run-through. So he has gone back onto the ground with that knee heavily strapped. The real concern in this one, though, coming around Xavier Dersma after he was absolutely crunched by Mitch Robinson. Well, it's also an incident, we must say, that has seen Robinson put on report. Dersma, he attempted to play on but lasted only a few more contests after that one before ultimately coming off. He was subbed off at quarter time with Stephen Motlop coming into the game. The club has confirmed to me that it is a collarbone complaint, but they're unsure of the extent of the injury on first sight. So he, of course, will be sent for scans. Will be interesting to see which way the MRO falls on this one, because Robinson seemingly turning to protect his body but causing a significant amount of damage to another player in the process, which, of course, is a big point of contention. Must be made note as well. Daniel Rich, he received some treatment for a hip flexor complaint, and Aliir at the moment is undergoing assessment for a foot or ankle complaint. So we'll have an update on that one very soon. But as we say, the doctor's keeping very busy up at the Gabba.
Yeah, lots to stay across. Kath Durkin there in the
newsroom.
Little
interesting one there.
Yes, Dersma. I want to get your thoughts on that one.
Dersma's popped the collarbone. Does that help Mitch Robinson?
Because of where the contact is.
Because of the contact there, popped the collarbone. Now watch here. It looks like the head makes contact, and if you choose to elect a bump, the onus is on you to protect the player being bumped. Is there any contact really to the head?
I think he grazes him
dangerous,
on the way through.
Or is that contact to the shoulder? Look, that angle there looks better for Mitch Robinson than the first scenario, and he's come up grabbing the collarbone. So it shows you where the bump landed.
Back to the footy, though. Who would you rather?
Brisbane can't play any worse.
Who would you rather be, Brisbane or Port right now?
Brisbane. More upside.
Yeah, huge upside still for Brisbane. Their class players are yet to rise.
Let's get a halftime update thanks to Sportsbet.